Thanks everyone for your patience coming to this screen. As you know, we got bumped today on the date and it conflicted with another meeting downstairs. Here we are. Fine. And then there's an air conditioning problem on top of that, so. Windows are open.
I want that. Better than all stones.
There you go. Good long we won't open, so we better job.
It may be sooner.
I know, it's
also down in the 30s in 2 weeks. Really? You know, my second crop beans, they're a little high. Big too dry. I don't mean nothing off.
How many acres you have?
Oh, there was only 30.
Okay.
It was, beans that I had left over what I wanted to eat. After we made, you can't do nothing with it. And you can't go busy for termination on maybe 50% to it. Yes, there, maybe. And so, I just went out and run it there. It had female benefit options. Things are falling off, clouds are falling off, so. We don't write sit there. Just want to go ahead and get started. We're recording technically. Wait till we change the recording.
It's county meetings, it's what we.
It's. Good. Just go. So maybe they're not logged into.
Okay, go ahead and get started. I will call this meeting of the Grant County Redevelopment Commission to order, September the 2nd, 2025. We'll have prayer, I lead the prayer and thank for budget allegiance. Dear God, thank you for this day and thank you for watching over us and keeping us safe and guide us to do your will in the county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move on to the approval of meeting minutes. 8/4/25.
Absolutely.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Green, a second from Harrington. Herring. Sorry. Herring to approve the meeting minutes from 8/4/2025. Do roll call or just all in favor?
You can do it all in favor, signify by saying aye.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. We'll move on to item number 3, bonding members update.
Yeah, Beth is not here. Oh, yeah, hey, there you are.
Hi,
Are we all bonded?
we are bonded.
Okay.
I have sent requests for payment, so we're in the process of that, but yes.
So that's just the update.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to number 4, maps of zoned areas in unincorporated Grant County.
Yeah, so I have provided you all with some different options. This has been a little bit of a mouse hunt to try to figure out what's been annexed by cities and towns. Todd Glancy, the area plan, I gotta give him kudos. It's easy of an offer to come up here and speak with us if we need him to do that, but we've done our best to try to identify what is currently on the books and where those boundaries are at. I know at the last meeting, you all had recommended that I prepare maps. And so without getting parcel by parcel specific, I wanted to give you some general areas for discussion. I think that these are all areas that either the group as a whole or individual members have reached out to me about different areas of concern. This map right here is the best iteration for everybody to kind of stay focused on as far as locations. Areas in red is where area plan, Todd Clancy has designated these as areas that are cities, towns that are already annexed in those areas. There are some areas like traveling east on 18 that are more sawtooth, parcel by parcel, and I've given you an individual map showing those areas of what is denoted on that. Right now, feedback from you all is this area right here to the east of, to the west of Marion is an area of interest. You note the parcels in mustard yellow are, of course, industrial zone parcels in unincorporated Grant County for consideration. If you look at these, and then I also, it's been important to denote that the railroad track here, there is a railroad spur that goes into this area right here. This is definitely area of interest as well. There are also industrial zone parcels in that area that are in unincorporated Grant County. Wrapping around then, there's an AEP substation here on the south side. And I'll give my little overview and then let all of you weigh in on your thoughts, okay? So there's an AEP substation here. There's also a parcel here that is industrial zone. There's another small industrial parcel up here to the north of that as well. So that's an area of interest. Moving further south to State Road 26 and I-69. This, of course, has been discussed, this interchange at this area. And then also there is denoted an industrial parcel just west of the interchange. We believe, though, it's noted on the wrong side of the highway. We believe that this is supposed to be the natural gas plant to the north right there. So this, of course, is an area of interest here. Then up here, moving to the east side of Marion, of course, 18 going out. As I mentioned, it's kind of sawtooth at this time.
As they've identified in the first, it's great economic development area, master plan for that section. And those are largely driven by state statute, but they talk high level about your plans for how you want to redevelop that. Within each economic development area, you can have one of our application areas that we then break off independently that would be geared towards either project specific development, like, for example, State Road 26 and I-69, right? We think of that automatically as somewhat of a self-defining allocation area because the increment that's going to be developed in that area goes back to support what you're trying to do at that intersection. Or they can be in one consolidated big economic development area. The things that you have to think about is when you create these economic development areas, these TIF allocation areas, the trigger for us is when you issue debt within those areas. That starts a 25-year clock on those allocation areas. And so we look at it from a very high level perspective of how we're going to develop a plan for you all. But then we also start thinking a little bit granular about project specific activities that you want to see accomplished in those areas and try to plan it out with our financial advisors and big utility and Greg has got the chance to introduce himself yet, but working hand in hand in figuring out exactly what's the most prudent approach for the county as you're thinking through some of the developments in these areas.
So as far as first step is to, for this body to agree on an economic development area.
Yes,
Large, big picture.
I think that's a good way of thinking about it. As you're looking at it now, we're going to have two large bifurcated areas right now, and we can slice it out into all one and however you see fit. But we take probably a consolidated area first, and then as you get more into your project specific needs and areas of concern, start breaking those out into independent allocation areas. But it's a fairly straightforward process that we can put a timetable for people so you can just see the steps that would be involved in development. I'm sorry.
Time and cost.
Yes. Yeah. Any questions on that? It's pretty generic, but it's really just kind of the first step in kind of establishing the program and the projects that we want to do.
Is that putting a cart before the horse? I mean, we're doing this with no, we don't have anybody saying we want to.
Yeah.
Back up. I'm trying to, okay.
No, I think it's a fair question. I think establishing the economic development areas, it's not, it's just an opportunity to start preserving what you want.
Right.
Because again, it's generally gonna follow your state statutes of things that you can do within the area. Getting down to the project specific allocation areas for sure. So you wouldn't, you got it. We wouldn't establish those until.
So there's something coming.
Okay.
Okay.
But-
That's that 25-year clock for that scenario, which you established would be best.
Yep, the 25-year clock starts running off of the first debt issuance that we have for the application area. So we can start building out the TIF in the area and let it in accrue. And it's not gonna trigger until the first time that you decide to issue TIFs.
So they'll create an area.
No,
Right.
exactly.
But
Yep. So I think to start kind of at the 30,000 foot view of the plan. What you're raising the board to entail the organization you have, viable projects and opportunities that come.
Any other questions or comments?
Let me introduce Craig Bassano from Baker Tilly as well. So this morning also the county commissioners approved an agreement to work with Baker Tilly to retain them to assist this body. Even the body has no funding. Craig's available to assist and help crafting, create all this together. A financial advisory firm, and that's what Baker Tilly does. I've worked with them on many different redevelopment missions in the past and happy to see that they're able to do it. Do you want to share a little bit and chime in later this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for, yeah, Greg Boss, I know Baker Center Municipal Advisors, helping, counties with financial planning as well as redevelopment missions with areas like this, like TIF, economic development incentives, things like that. So, what Chris mentioned, think of it as the economic development area is that area where the money can be spent. So it's in serving the benefiting that economic development area. The allocation area, as Chris was kind of talking about, the specific sites is where the money is generated, right? So if you have multiple allocation areas within that one boundary, you can spend money in serving benefit. One thing to just keep in mind when you're setting up the allocation areas is that talk that Chris mentioned, but as well as the base date. So with TIF, and it kind of works backwards. So what I mean by that is if the process is completed this year for an allocation area, the base would be set as January 1, 25, taxes payable 26, meaning that those parcels in the allocation area, the base is equal to the assessed value of the properties at that time, right? So it's not something that for the allocation area, if you're needing to capture the increment for a specific purpose, once the development happens, it's too late, right? The base would be set to that new assessed value, and thus you wouldn't capture any TIF to be able to support that development or whatever else is needed to support the area. So you do have to kind of get in front of the development that could come or what have you, so that that base is set at what the value is today versus put in.
Could I, a couple different points. One is, you mentioned the economic development area, future generated revenue can serve and or benefit that area. Is it sometimes better to have a broader economic development area? And then if you have a project, have a more focused TIF area within that and with the ability to spend that money in a larger, broader area?
Yeah, I think from a financial perspective, yeah, absolutely. Having a more flexibility on how, when, where those revenues can be spent, as long as it legally kind of is okay in terms of the boundary. Yeah, I think financially.
As long as it serves and or benefits the TIF district.
Correct. And I say serve or benefit because I have seen and worked on projects that are outside of that economic development area, but it supports that. Just to give an example, a fire station or something, a lot of times it'll be maybe just outside the TIF, but if it serves and benefits that whole TIF, attorneys typically will feel comfortable that serving the entire TIF swoop and support that expenditure.
Second follow-up question, I've had a couple members ask me about, what's the benefit of TIFing in, a huge area or creating an economic development area of the entire county? Can you talk about the pros and cons of that? Why communities don't do that?
Yeah, so from an economic development area perspective, obviously that's just where the money can be spent, such the allocation area. You know, from a pure dollar perspective, you're right that if you were to make an allocation area out of the entire county, the county would receive more on a net dollar basis if everything was tipped. Now, on the flip side of that though, where that negative of doing something like that is that you're capturing all of that future assessed value, right? And so where that value is not going is to the tax base. So the county itself, the schools, the cities, and, you know, so on and so forth. And so where that can come into play is, as you guys know, in general, kind of municipal finance in the state of Indiana, the state sets, you know, maximum levies for instance. So really what drives the tax rate is assessed value. So if assessed values are not increasing, but that levy is, tax rates are going to go up, right? So that can deter investment, that can increase circuit breaker losses. So, you know, while you may be collecting more TIF, you're then losing money in more general funds. You know, potentially be deterring investment because your tax rate is climbing. So that's kind of, you know, the reason I would say that you wouldn't want to necessarily make the whole county an allocation area. Because again, you'd be losing all that future assessed value growth in the general funds. So, yeah. Yep.
So I need direction from you all. I need to know what you want to do with these areas, I guess, how broad of allocation areas that you want to consider locations. And I'm happy to work with this team to, you know, make that happen, to execute that for future meeting for your group.
So we'll just declare economic development areas.
That would be the first step.
And it don't have to be, you can make it more like a paintbrush effect, right? You don't have to sell the animation. Like I know 26 and 69. Well, for the points.
I mean, I guess my point is, I would just caution, do it all, because I'm comfortable with the administration that's in power now. But I see how an 18 and 69 go way south. It's out there, city side, where we end up with that we had no idea we had to create. You know, if you get a broad paintbrush, that gives your successor enough thing that happens that I may not agree with, or this board may not agree with, and then that ability to tax. Would be worse than enough. So I mean, small doses, I think, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. If we do an economic development area, the TIF and everything, it has to go to county council for approval, right? So we're really just making recommendations.
Yeah, I think what we have to do is, when we're at, based on the direction from you all here today, that we can come up with a plan of how we can, you know, economic development is based on our feedback. And I show you the plan for how we would take it through the legislative process, and what that would look like for feedback at the next meeting. Does that sound fair?
You give us a timeline of all the
Timeline.
meetings and you pick, yeah.
Absolutely.
That this has to create an area, has to be approved by this body, has to go before the county council, has to go before the county commissioner, has to go before the plan commission, and then there's a creation of economic development committee. It has to be done as well, or is that only with when you issue debt?
Probably like the issue.
Okay. Because
Need to make sure.
and then once this body obtains approval from those three other bodies, it comes back to this body for a final reading and a public hearing. Okay. So there's like 5 steps there to get the ball rolling.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the first one.
And
After on its office, it's the first.
yeah, exactly. So I would say if we can hone in on those areas, we can provide some feedback to kind of kick off the process.
Thank you. Jermaine, just declare an economic development area, don't really tie us into anything.
That's right.
Unless everybody. Which, that's right.
it does set the stage and bid that, or sets the table rather for in the event that there's a project that comes and it's an expedited process to advance the project quicker if that's established. We know where those general areas are that we think that growth could happen. It's important to designate those as economic development areas now. I'm wrong in saying that, Chris, is that, I don't know if that's very understanding.
So I guess does the members have any ideas of what areas they would like to see?
On the west side of Main there, yes. Do we know why was that already zoned industrial? Is that, I was wondering, is that just south of CIE?
I think the railroad company owned all this for a long time.
Okay,
I believe this is CIE.
okay, that's what I thought.
Yes.
Say that should be the.
It wasn't that just, what city just incorporated over to town, just,
That's the red right in north of
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
that was just the last couple of years, right?
That was the youngest
Oh, yeah.
county, the whole thing, pretty much. City, CIA is,
There's something in CIE too. Well, CIE benefits.
Are you thinking making a area to cover that west side? To come on down?
well, I just know at the last meeting, we talked about, the unincorporated areas that were already zoned industrial. And that, popped up.
So this,
The SCO, or the old SCM building, right? And then you have Dana.
this is actually Dana here, and then behind it, that portion is not in the city.
Okay.
This is Dana, this is the back portion of that.
Dana's in the city.
Yeah, this is in the city right here, the back of Dana's property right here. And then the next parcel beyond that, which is LNG Kate's. So it's that property.
I mean, is this be something we can talk to the owners of the property about? Or
I wonder if that's the,
It's a question for Mr. Brad.
trying to do it, property owners don't want that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what we want.
Can speak to like that side, for a company who's in a TIF area, or a person, it doesn't matter who, unless they kind of are involved in public meetings, and things, they would never know they were in a TIF area. So but let's say you created a TIF area and I'm in the TIF area, but my neighbor is not in the same taxing district. We're paying the same tax rate, whether I'm in the TIF or not. So again, it could be noted, hey, this property is in TIF. So think of all the money is done on the back end of the auditor's office, assessor's office, as far as how it's distributed. I don't think with Chris can speak about if they're needed for approval. Financial side, they wouldn't really know.
Typically, unless you're changing the zoning, right, zoning obviously is, it's a notification, to notify properties. You would get some notification of the creation of the economic development area upfront. That's very, it's back end conversation, that's not friends.
I just hate to do something and not tell the property.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so,
That's
I think they would
that's where we get in trouble.
yeah,
I agree. I think they would know
So-
it's a target area
Yeah.
for development.
so there's legal, right? There's political, and, yeah, so that's totally. Yeah.
So it is.
Totally.
I think that's where my thought was originally, do these that are already some industrial. You know?
Yeah, I think we should do it industrial already, because the same people that own that is the same ones that helped out when that other factory came to town, they had another railroad, they built a building, they were very involved. Say, family farm. They could work more on, it's already sold, industrial, they would be open to that.
I mean, when people come to town and if they go to the plan commission and they're doing it discreetly because they don't want the word to get out that a big company's coming, they pull a zoning map, what they're gonna get to is what we all got to, is to be looking for the mustard yellow properties and then approaching those landowners about.
Well, hopefully they would work through this body or
Yeah.
that nature. I mean, that's what the last ones did because. Well, Jack should have said, hey, you call this place. That's how that all worked.
Yeah.
But they haven't changed zoning. That wasn't already incorporated. That wasn't already. Well, I was involved in that. That wasn't already moved to industrial. It had to be zone change.
Yeah, it was right there by,
I would have it. That's a lot.
Which I know the Growth Council still owns property.
I think around there. Yeah. Next property.
So in the turquoise color is double H right now, and then it is industrial on either side.
Double H isn't.
It's in the green, so it's showing in the green. LCTZ, you all have the map of what that is, LCTZ. Yeah, it's not all, it's not out.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, maybe it's not updated to what it should be, you know, obviously they're have an industrial use there, so.
And it don't have to be squarey, so you could go like on this, you could go here, here. Right?
And you can even run an umbilical cord down roadways to pick up a parcel on further down if it's in a general area.
And there could be multiple, right, that are not contiguous.
Obviously, we draw the maps. Not just drawing it. Drawing it against. Bound. The other can be changed over time.
They can.
And expand and make them all sorts of things, so. Like Chris's point earlier. They want to start some small. By the city of Marion had to revise its economic development area and tip allocation area for CIE plan. Because the area was small. Allocation to one. Just have a goal for unless they expanded it. So they expanded it. So allow that money to be spent for broader. So look to all these maps that prominence and make sure big enough area to spend the money.
That's further.
For the next meeting, we can just like this thing. Fair enough. Proposals, different areas, that we can discuss what they could look like, or we can create separate ones. Overall.
I'd like to at least start just so we can see what the process is.
Sure.
Because it's gonna be 3 months, it sounds right,
Yeah.
with all the meetings. And you've already got it set up that way, and it's along the, 9th Street, railroads, I mean, you would like to see some expansion there, or at least out on 26 and 65. We gotta start showing.
Is there a way that we can get it done this year so that we get this year's assessed?
Yep,
Okay,
but they'll be coming.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I would think by the time we get to our next meeting, we probably have some for the correction on at least the first area to start off on. And then you're probably looking at a honestly, September, October timeframe with meetings. Absolutely.
Let's expand the area.
Through a similar process.
If you expand the area, does the assessment still stay at 25?
So as long as you haven't spent TIF in it,
Okay,
you're
yeah.
okay. But the base assessment, the expanded area starts when you expand
When you originally
on the new, on the new.
on the view, okay.
Ingram is their own pieces, so you know, one original portion, yeah, it can have its own base and expiration, then
Got it.
the next, even though it's still one, they each have their own fall.
Okay. Yeah, I think assessments are not going down. We can get it done as soon as possible.
I've emailed Todd Clancy, an area plan on what the LCTC zoning is, so I'll email that all to you once I know what that is.
So we start there with assessment.
Mhm.
So, I mean, are you thinking like this on this? Are you going out here? Are you know, and then what about Fairmount? Do you do all 4 quarters? I'm just saying do 2 small ones. Start.
Yeah, if,
Where's the Fairmount one out of it?
right here, here's the interchange at the highway.
Which we know 3 parcels.
Yes, I have talked to, property owners on all of the corners at Fairmount. And we have willing sellers, of 7 I talked to, we have 6 parcels that are willing sellers at Fairmount. Now, they're not willing in a way that they want to list the property for sale, but they're willing in a way that if there is an interested prospect, they will entertain a discussion. So yes, so we have addressed these property owners in this area right here.
Yeah, I'd
Do
like
the
to.
4 corners to 26 and do
Yeah.
the, you know, the
Industrial.
industrial around on the west side.
I think so.
Does start,
Basic, right?
takes us from your.
That a general consensus, then we'll start with that, that'll be the first one. Okay, very good. Okay, would the body like to also, at the same time, if we're doing these simultaneously, address this one to the west as well? Not have conversations with these property owners at this time, but next logical one to proceed with as well.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah, that's what I meant, do the
West side.
industrial on
okay.
the west side, do the Fairmount.
Got it.
The
Yeah,
yellow,
good.
the mustard colors, I think, the
Yep.
the Fairmount.
So 3 targets.
There's 2.
The mustard
Well,
area.
the ones
You breaking them up.
south end, if we could go like snake around and go north of CIE.
Grab this here
Well, and north.
and
Yep, right there.
Yeah, all
That'd
those-
be beside
Those
GN.
incorporated, Jim's on back in, is coming towards the mid.
It's probably that blue 6 on there, isn't it?
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Jim will be in the red,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
TM's here.
yeah, Gerald, it's-
Well, then next to it, to the
That's
west
the,
of that.
that's where you were talking about earlier,
Yeah,
right? The Amish
yeah.
stores, the rail yard from Amish stores, I believe, is on that side.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's red. Is that
Junkyard
red
back
too?
there behind that city,
Would
that's,
that
that,
be red?
that
Yeah,
little
they-
yellow,
The extended ray. CIA.
right, that's where that is, right? Isn't that little piece of mustard right above where we're talking CIE is? Or is that?
Yeah.
The other side.
Yeah.
It's north.
So what is that?
That would be
I'll say, they're gonna do.
The house is making so.
I didn't want to do this.
What is that?
We just have people.
Oh, that's
Banks.
where that, like Stanley Steamer used to be, I bet.
I was thinking, I'm saying race.
So it's just.
Oh, that's where it's right across from CIE. Yeah, it's a big site. Yeah,
Yeah. It's TJ over. So.
across.
So the consensus is here with parcels in yellow. And then
Yes.
is a consensus also to grab, in this general area right here where the rail spur and double H is at as well?
Yes.
Very good. So this is the coming off of the rail spur here. The railroad is here. Would there be interest in this area as well? And this is just for purposes of creating an economic development area, not for an actual TIF district. To get this area as well where the spur is on either side of the spur.
What's that street then? Is it 26th Street here?
This is 26th right here.
And so,
I think if we're doing this, we've got to get the spur.
The spur's right here.
Yeah, if there's gonna be something in the industrial zone, it's gonna go down. the
It's,
spur.
yeah, these areas here could be zoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, being on the spur.
be very easy to get. some-
It's very easy now to pick it up as an EDA, in my opinion. Okay. That's good direction. This is a little bit like watching sausage be made, but you know, the intention is to get to something good in the end.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just throwing this out there, not pushing, this is your decision, but thoughts on this going towards the highway, this direction? Do you want to do anything there? North of the sawtooth zoning and south of the sawtooth zoning? The reason I'm suggesting is because we have professional people who will be working on this. It's easier to work on multiple ones at once rather than continuing to re-engage in the new multiple ones constantly.
This is like 18,
18,
69.
yeah, going east, yes.
You go out 1 mile, 100, and do it 59 back to Marion. 100 north.
Hey, what if Mary, what if St. Mary says we're already running utilities there, we want to incorporate it in Mary? You know, we want to get to a best match with that. Things that work for the. You know, we ask the question, we ask the question. Because I think they'd have something out there, if they're running all the utilities right out there from the city. And I would just, I don't want to get like this. If they say no, do it, then okay, let's incorporate it. They say, well. But I'd like to do the west side in the 26.
I mean, obviously, since we're newly created, they haven't had to compete with us.
Right, that's,
I don't want to be in a position where we're competing with
I agree.
each other. Like,
that's what,
I
that's
think we need to complement each other, whether it's Cassidy or Marion. And I just, but how do we capture more dollars to the county?
to do it, like that, build the growth.
The outside of the area surrounding Port. They've got a small tentacle out to 69. Each state sufficient on either side of it. So the development comes in.
But what I'm saying, we piss them off, and, whoever new company's gonna come in, they're gonna say, we want city water and city sewage. Marion's just, what we do. Then we piss them off, they don't have to cooperate. I guess I don't know, do they have to cooperate if they do that?
Well, technically, Marion Utilities is not, well, the water anyway.
I understand. I agree,
You know?
I agree, but then it gets, I mean, I would just like to have some, it is
I know.
newly done, I would like to have some cooperation. The other places, like, they jump on to it.
I mean, maybe if
Out
we
there.
agree, like you were saying, like maybe not a mile north and south of 18.
Yeah, something. I mean, but again, I think I'd like to have a conversation, I'd like for somebody to have a conversation with the city before we said that here's what we're gonna do.
I know my thoughts, I don't know, but about this, so. There's gotta be a way to where both units can benefit, whether that, whether that's written into the EDA somehow, like, we're gonna divide, X amount to county, and we're gonna provide X amount to the city. Like, it shouldn't just be one entity. Like,
Yeah.
How do you get that language in? I think
That's
it's
not
not
my, that's their business, that's not my.
Yeah.
I'm
just
just
something.
bringing up a dumbass point, I mean,
Yeah.
but I would like to have the cooperation instead of just, dumping it on, and saying, here's what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, I think we should at least have a courage to say to someone, say, here's what we're playing on this side. Now, before I do that, I would go ahead and do this west side of 26. Just in case they did have, so.
Just to 25th.
Right.
It's a variance for anybody else.
I thought about that myself.
Bit of the shared tip bed one. It is a bit, that's kind of an example of that. In Indiana, cool. They have tip, real tip, which is where the big super group plant and things are over there. That is a tip and share 50/50.
Everybody has
Portions of that area.
We provide service.
Yeah.
Please.
Just spread out. It's.
Yeah, for now.
That's good. No, because I didn't.
So, does both parties have to declare that an economic development area then?
Yeah, there's, for example, we just amended that area here not too long ago. They both had to go through me. System. So, yeah.
So he was just saying that we can do a shared tip. Or like out there, we could do a tip that was split between the city and the county.
So I think the last thing, if we did have a company want to come in and have two entities,
Yeah.
like, I think we want to put everybody's best foot forward, we're all, they're trying to get me.
Any other questions? I'm glad to hear that that's an option, because I know we're gonna run into that.
Yeah.
I think we've always been big brother. We need to continue to be big brother, now we can. But we don't want a piece of the pie. You have everything?
I got my marching orders. I mean, I guess it's a general consensus. I don't think there's necessarily need for a vote to, but I will undertake this work to advance the two locations that you all have right. So I'll work with Chris and Greg, and we'll work on a main plan for the next meeting for it.
On to item number 5, discussion of the former Dana site, the commissioner did this. So the commissioners this morning did approve, pulling that, tax sale for the Dana property.
Yeah, so, it's a resolution to pull that, so it's already been through the regular treasurer sale. So now their tax sales is available rather than having the commissioner sale on top, putting it out there again. Commissioners have the ability to just pull it from the sale, belong to it. So they'll negotiate the transfer. Stock for the top comments. To get that side by it.
So where are you in the discussion process right now?
Just passed the resolution today, so we need to then decide if the commissioners want to assign it to the RDC. RDC will need to go through notification to petition for tax.
So can I give one key point to this, just for the members' knowledge too? That we have been contacted by parties who are interested in this property. We want to collectively, as a group, make sure it gets in the hands of somebody who's a responsible owner, somebody who has the ability to address brownfield concerns, be a good long-term partner, keep it on the tax rolls long-term, not be an industrial slumlord. It's a real critical point. We're at a critical juncture right now, so that's kind of the preface of what the county's thinking right now. We want to steer the end user, not let anybody just buy it at tax sale.
So in general then, when county body or redevelopment commission has ownership, there's a disposition process that you go through. Disposition, public notices, getting the property appraised, and going off as a typical bid, like you're familiar with City County work. However, it's just a process that needs to be completed. So in our world, we negotiate dispositions of property all the time with developers for project, specific folks who might come in and pick up for a site. Your ability to get that property to that end user on the terms and conditions that you want to provide to them can be effectuated after you go through the disposition process. So think of the disposition process as kind of the statutory safeguard for you to see what's out there. Once you see what's out there, then you go through the process, then you're able to have those negotiations and conversations with them. So typically what we do is when we know you have a viable prospect and you have a viable deal that's in place, we'll run kind of project approval with the land disposition process simultaneously so that they can.
So our firm has worked collaboratively with Martha Thornburg and other law firms in the past to do requests for proposals of end users. I would like to make a recommendation that I prepare a draft RFP for your review next meeting for questions that we would ask developers as far as repurposing this particular property. I've worked collaboratively with Marty for him to review that, and also with Chris on the process. We'd like us to get underway with that. We do have parties who are interested in the site, would like to get something moving on that.
Any questions or comments? Obviously, I think we all want to see it.
I'll bring an RFP to the future meeting. For that site, let you all look through it. I'll share it with these two attorneys before the meeting. That way they can put in any legalese that they recommend for this particular site in Grant County in particular.
On to item number 6, I think we're
Pretty well raised the street.
rents and parking.
That's a separate parcel. Even as so, yeah. That is a site we have discussed before the commissioners. Shane, you can let me know if there's been further discussion of this. I've just left it on there. This was recommended to me as part of downtown possible needing this site for parking for future county.
It's a vocational building.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I know the commissioners would like to acquire some fashion, be able to have the parking across the street.
They would be interested in this body assisting with that particular process of getting two appraisals on that, approaching the owner as far as acquisition. And this body being working collaboratively with the county commissioners, so. Not as specific follow-up conversation with the commissioners since the last meeting about that, but we left on the agenda just for that purpose to have discussion.
Talk about the building directly behind the tire, Preston Tire.
So I'll ask Shane, would you like us to proceed with that?
Yes, if you will.
Okay, very good.
As long as the council has the funding. Throw that in there.
Yeah. This is secret or advantage.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it'd be nice to have more parking. Struggle. I would put.
Should come to last week when we did
Any other questions or comments from the members? Public comment? Let's see then. When's our next meeting?
October,
6th.
6th.
October the 6th at 12.
Yep.
Sorry for the inconveniences on this meeting. Our council chamber had some other planned activities due to the holiday. Shifted us to Tuesday, so hopefully we'll meet back in the same meeting next October the 6th. We had a motion with adjourn.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same side. Meeting is adjourned.
Hour.